Hey everyone, it's Sunflower Spirit, and I'm here to do another pick a card reading. And today's reading is on what kinds of things, like what kind of negativity do you bring to relationships with others, and how, like, what can you do about this? So I hope you guys are having a great day. I hope you're enjoying your day. Thank you so much for stopping by today. Let's get into it. So, this is on this card reading is on what kind of struggles do you have in your relationships. Oh yeah, I should put we'll do the Light Seer Tarot for one. We'll do the Everyday Witches Tarot for two, and then what should I do for three? Which one should I use for three? We will do the I'm looking at my deck, sorry. Too many choices. We will do the stained glass tarot for three. So go ahead and pick your pile, and we'll get started here. So this is for those of you who chose number one or the Light Seers Tarot. This reading is on what kind of negativity do you bring to relationships with other people, and like how can you how can you make this work better for you, or how can you kind of change this energy, transmute this energy so it works better for you. So I hope everyone's having a great day. What kind of energy do you bring to relationships? We have Three of Swords. Oh no, pile one. The Nine of Wands. Whoa. We have the Page of Pentacles. We have the Moon. Temperance. The Devil. Oops. We have the Three of Pentacles. We have the Ace of Pentacles. And then on the back we have the Nine of Cups. And then I'm just going to pull a few from the Dark Night of the Soul Tarot. We have the Six of Rage, Tyrant. We have 20, Judgment, Eye for an Eye. We have Three of Torment, Flesh Wound. And we have Dictator of Decay, Power of Lust. And then we have the Hermit, Quarantine Lockdown. Okay, so for you, number one, if you chose this pile, what negativity do you bring to your relationships, and how can you heal it, or how can you transform this energy? So I see you kind of like bringing the past into your relationships. You have some sort of like chip on your shoulder, some sort of like jadedness that you bring into your relationships. These have to deal with like trauma wounds or unhealed subconscious wounds, and also like the trauma response, which is that ego response. Remember, the trauma response is fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So you kind of bring some of your previous relationship trauma into your current relationships. So that's kind of like why you have struggle. Specifically, you bring anger, shame, and sadness from your relationships, from not getting like the balance or the blending with other people that you would like, not being successful with really having this sort of like give and take relationship where everybody's needs are being met. I feel like your relationships have been very one-sided. Um, and so you've kind of resorted to more just like focusing on some of those like egoic needs like lust or passion, something like that. And you do this as a coping strategy, but it really creates obstacles for you in your relationships, because what you really want is you do really want like this deep like blending of energies. You really crave this like emotional fulfillment with people, but you're not getting it because you need to heal your trauma wounds first. You need to look at yourself and look at your patterns in relationships to heal those. You need to choose to go a different way. You need to choose to release some of this ego fear that you're having. And so this is going to cause you to, you are going to need to do some of this like inner child healing, because you really want to work together with people, but I feel like, you kind of have this idea, you kind of have this, like I said before, this jadedness of like, why should I work with other people? Like I've tried and it's not working. So why should I do that now? So you really need to like look within, because you do know what you want. It's just a matter of like releasing that fear now, because they're telling me that everything that you want is tangible, that it's there, that you are capable of having this type of connection, but you are, kind of like holding yourself back. Um, and in doing so, you're kind of like more focusing, like I said, on like lust or passion, or maybe like one night stands, something like that, rather than really doing this healing. You're kind of like avoiding the healing at all costs type of situation, and so you aren't ever going to get the success and the results that you want to see, because in order for you to do that, you're going to have to work through some of this pain. You're going to have to feel some of these like intense feelings that are scary and vulnerable and hard to feel, so that you can work through some of this trauma. You need to, I would start, there's your inner child coming out in this one. So I would start with there. I would start with like talking to your inner child, like asking your inner child, like what he or she needs, that, that has not, has not been met, and how can you meet those needs now? Or if not, like talking to a counselor, or doing shadow work. That's kind of how you're going to. It is a conscious decision. It's a conscious decision to, not continue the same way that you have been going, and the choice is totally yours. I'm just reading the cards, so there's no judgment here, but this is just what's coming out for your relationships. Why you're struggling? Yeah, because you need to, it's kind of like lacking a sense of self almost too, I think. Like you really need to focus on your your sense of self, what you want. Excuse me. um and trying to be successful with giving yourself these needs and focusing on your trauma healing, and not looking at new relationships as if they're the past, like giving it the chance to be something different, giving it the opportunity to be something that hasn't been yet. So that's what I'm getting for you, Pile One. Hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully it resonated. If not, you can feel free to check out another pile. I appreciate you guys stopping by today. This is for those of you who chose pile number 2 or the Everyday Witches Tarot. And today we're talking about what kind of negativity you bring to your relationships with others and how you can heal that negativity, or what you could do, how you can transform it, transmute the energy. So let's see. Let's see what we've got for those of you who chose pile 2. I hope you guys are enjoying your day. I hope you're having a great, fantastic day. We have the Nine of Cups, and then we have the Fool. We have the Chariot. We have the Three of Wands. And then we have the Ten of Cups. We have the Page of Cups. We have the Seven of Wands. We have the Knight of Cups. And then we have the Emperor on the back. And then I'll pull some Dark Knight of the Soul Tarot. Oh yeah. We have Eight of Rage muzzled. We have Nine of Sorrow, access denied. We have Three Empress, Barren Wasteland, and Four of Sorrow, jaded. And then on the back we have Three of Rage, up in flames. Okay. So what are your struggles in relationships? What negativity do you bring to relationships? So what's coming out for you, pile 2, which is really interesting, because I wouldn't consider this to be like a negative or a flaw, but I could see how it could affect relationships negatively, is that you have this like very innocent, like lighthearted spirit. Like you're very joyful, very loving, very kind individual, but people see you, they're perceiving you as kind of like flighty. And so, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I just think it's like affecting your relationships, because I think the people that you are connecting with or connecting to are looking for someone who's a little more grounded. And it's not that you're not grounded. I do definitely see that you are grounded. It's just that like you have a very like innocent take on the world, and it's sort of like one of those things where it's like no matter what happens to you, um you're still gonna kind of like uplift this bubbly positivity. And I think that like your in your connection, it feels sometimes like when people have things that they really want to talk to about, that are really important to them, that they're struggling with, it feels like you kind of dismiss it because of this positivity. Like you're not like, they don't see you like you're firmly grounded in reality. And they don't see you as having this like stability in the real world, in the physical world. They just mostly see you kind of like trying to always be lighthearted about stuff. And so they don't feel heard. Other people don't feel heard. They don't feel seen. They don't even feel like they can talk to you. And so I think this is a problem, because what it ends up doing is when there are issues that arise like in the connection that need to be discussed, it feels to other people like you kind of like dismiss this and you don't give opportunity to really address issues in a sort of like realistic, grounded manner. Um, and so people feel like you don't really see them, you don't really hear them, you're not really on the same page as them. And it this really like is affecting your relationships because it comes across, like you sometimes it comes across like you're trying to do this to control. And I don't see that here. I mean, maybe for somebody it could be possible, but like that's not what I'm seeing in the cards. It looks like you are very grounded. You are. It's just that your take on life um is so like positive and so carefree. Sometimes it feels like people who want to connect with you, they want to kind of have more of like a realistic viewpoint, and you sometimes seem like a little too flighty, a little too like head in the clouds ish. um like you have this sort of like romantic rose colored lens on everything. And I think that like it looks like maybe you have like overcome a lot and you do overcome things, but I think that like this is kind of how you overcome things, and this is how you've been successful, is by just keeping going, just by keeping this innocence, this pureness, which is really awesome. That's like a really cool trait to have. But people are seeing it as like you don't have this love, you don't have this grounded in reality type love, that you are just they perceive it as you are trying to like neglect that like bad things do happen and that things have happened. And I'm showing here that like you do have things that have happened that you've had to overcome. You've had life experiences that you've overcome. It's just kind of like you kind of perceive the world just in a different manner. Like you always want to kind of like see how things could be. And so maybe like what people are seeing is like you're really seeing people's potential, but you're not seeing who people actually are. And so that could be a problem too, because you're always like, well, it could be like this, or you could be like this. And really people just want you to be present with them. And so I do see you have the ability to be present, but you're also just kind of like, I feel like just kind of like finding your own way, trying to like be stable within yourself. And you are, the things that you want, um, you kind of have this weird, like, love hate relationship with, where you do get the things that you want, but I think maybe you're also kind of like a very individualistic person, like where you don't really rely on others to fulfill you. Like, yes, you want love and you want connection, but it's not like you rely on that. And you also kind of like have a good sense of who you are. Um, and I think that other people, they just want to see like, instead of you like looking to people's potential or always trying to like sugarcoat things or put like a rainbow on top of things or whatever, they want you to be like a little bit more realistic with your stability and like how you are approaching problems that arise in a relationship, how you're approaching when somebody approaches you with a problem in the relationship, because it seems like you're not taking like a very grounded stance with that. So I think that's all I have for you. Yeah, that's all I have for you if you chose pile two. So thank you guys so much for stopping by. If this didn't resonate, feel free to check out another pile, and I will talk to you guys later. is for those of you who chose the third pile, which is the Stained Glass Tarot. And this reading is on what negativity you bring to your relationships with other people and how you can kind of like transmute this energy and transform this energy to heal these things. So I hope you guys are having a great day today. We have the High Priestess. We have the Five of Cups. We have the Three of Cups. And then we have the Strength. We have the Ten of Swords. We have the Knight of Pentacles. We have the Ace of Wands. And we have the Five of Swords. And then on the back we have the Five of Pentacles. So we have 555 here, which is about struggle and change. But I'm going to pull some of these Dark Knight of the Soul Tarot. See what else comes out. Oh my goodness. Okay, we have the Ace of Torment, Smoke and Mirrors. We have the Five of Torment, Quicksand. We have the Six of Sorrow, Lost in Time. And we have the Imp of Rage, Temper Tantrum. And then we have Eight of Rage, Muzzled. Okay, so what negativity do you bring to your connections, and how could you heal this energy or transmute the energy? So you bring, pile 3, you bring a struggle. And this is like an internal struggle. Like you don't feel good enough with yourself. You struggle with your self-esteem. You struggle with the solar plexus chakra is coming out again. I don't know why that chakra always comes out in my readings. But you struggle with this self-esteem. You struggle with this self-worth. And you struggle also maybe like with depression, or a sense of loss, a sense of lack, a sense of like not belonging is what I'm getting. And so this affects your relationships because you want to have these like really passionate, inspiring, like friendly, kind of even almost like emotionally fulfilling spiritual connections. And you really struggle with, we have 4 fives because this is like the Five of Pentacles again. So yeah, you really struggle with your self-worth. You really struggle with like not feeling good enough, not feeling enough in whatever shape, way, form, capacity that is. And you kind of have this like pain, depression, or despair that really kind of like gets in your way of having the best relationships. I think you know this on some level. And I think that also like this leads to you not being as vulnerable as you could. So you don't get the fulfillment that you want because you're not able to be vulnerable, because you don't trust yourself. You don't have this like sense of self-worth. You're kind of like lacking this sense of self in a way. Um, yeah, you don't have like a very good grasp on reality of who you are. I feel like other people really admire you. They like you. Um, and they want to be able to like help you and provide you with something stable, but it's just you kind of like get in your own way. And you need the way that they're telling me that you can kind of like transform this, transmute this, is you need to kind of like really have this vulnerability. And so you're going to need to listen to your intuition. For one thing, you're going to have to start trusting yourself. Start trusting yourself with these things. I feel like in the past too, you've had like a lot of really maybe bad situations where um you really like wanted to like have a connection with someone, you were really passionate and you really like wanted to be friendly with other people, and then they sort of like didn't really want the same thing, and so you have like this sense of loss. um Yeah, like you feel like, I think too you're kind of impulsive. Like if things go too slowly in a connection, you automatically assume that it's just like over, that like they didn't want you for whatever reason, you were rejected. You have this like real like huge sense of rejection sensitivity. Um and so you kind of almost like start avoiding things. um, and you don't see things for what they are. Like when something starts to start, you will see kind of like the negative instead of the positive, and so you kind of like project that out onto the entire situation. Yeah, and you feel like so much like rejection and lack, like you're not worthy enough, you're not good enough, that you kind of feel like you can't even really express yourself about it. You don't feel like when things happen in relationships or connections where you need to speak up, you feel like, and that's the throat chakra. So you feel like you're not able to speak, like you're not allowed to speak, you're not able to speak. Yeah, you really do want to like build with other people. You want to work together with other people, but I feel like you just feel like so much struggle and so much loss and so much lack from your past, that you're just sort of like at this place where I think you kind of, the way that you handle it too is not in the most mature manner. And so it just kind of like makes you angry sometimes, like, you know, when you're projecting this out onto other people, you are being like childish or immature, or you could come off as childish and immature. And so you kind of like, it's almost like you like self sabotage your relationships, your connections. So they're saying that like you really need to focus on your intuition. You really need to go within. You also need to learn how to be like vulnerable. And there's also a component of like dealing with some previous trauma, because you do have some sort of like depression or despair that's coming out from painful endings and like this rejection sensitivity. So I think it could be helpful to do some of that. You need to kind of like um, not come from this place of ego, within your relationships, not come from this place of fear of like, this isn't going to work out because it never works out. And so, or like, I've struggled in the past, so this is just going to be a struggle, or this is going too slow. How could this possibly create a passionate new beginning? You need to kind of like reframe or like look at that perceptual thing, how you're talking to yourself about connections, how you're perceiving and looking at connections with other people. And you also need to work on your relationship with yourself, and figure out where this lack mentality is coming from, where this like feeling like you're not worthy, feeling like you're not enough is coming from. And I have an idea that it's probably coming from this like previous rejection that you've had in your life, and um, but you're kind of you're self sabotaging these relationships because you're bringing the past kind of into the present with these. relationships. So they're saying be vulnerable, open yourself up, be vulnerable, have some courage, because it takes a lot of courage to have vulnerability. Tap into that intuition. Be patient with yourself. It might be going slower than you'd like. And that like you do have potential for like new passionate beginnings with people. You are a very passionate person. You're also very like loving, a very deep person. You're very intense too, so that could be something too. So maybe with all this like rejection sensitivity, it's too intense. Um, because I do see a lot from the past of like having past experiences where it just was like so painful for you and you haven't really recovered from that. So kind of like healing some of that too. So hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully this resonated. If not, you could check out the other piles. And I thank you guys so much for stopping by. I will talk to you guys later.